tình trạng lại lặp lại vấn đề ở Sài Gòn, đấy là đã không mất hoàn toàn kết nối của ban tổ chức. Vì vậy nên là chiều nay thì ban tổ chức sẽ sử dụng một cái wifi riêng, còn những đạo hữu nào mà không có kết nối wifi tốt, cô định lên trước mà đúng không? Cô chưa có tai nghe ạ?
Bạn làm mà bạn hay quên, không từ từ thì bạn đưa ra bây giờ. Dạ, kính chào A Chan. Chào bác Chôn ạ. Hôm qua thì con và các em ở đây chỉ có trao đổi một chút về giáo pháp. Thì con rất là hoan hỉ khi mà sáng nay A Chan giảng về tâm sở xúc. Vì hôm qua chị em con có bàn về điều đó. Thì em con ở đây thì có nói về tâm sở xúc, và em nói nếu như không được học giáo pháp thì cái ý nghĩa của xúc mà mình cứ nghĩ như cái tiếp xúc thông thường á, và nhờ được học giáo pháp thì em cũng hiểu thêm đây là một cái đặc tính nó sinh kèm với tâm, và nó hỗ trợ tâm để tâm sinh khởi ở thời điểm đó. Nhưng mà khi mà nói về xúc thì con có đặt câu hỏi cho em là thật ra pháp nó vi tế vô cùng, thì em cũng học đã lâu rồi nhưng mà chị không thấy em tương tác như là thắc mắc hỏi hay hoài nghi. Chẳng nhẽ mọi thứ thông suốt hay là nó được hiểu rõ ràng, hoặc là mình không có một điều gì để hoài nghi hay sao? Thì em có trả lời là không phải là không có hoài nghi. Thì con bảo vì lý do gì mà không tương tác? Có phải vì là cái ý niệm về ngã, tôi là, hay là vì ngã mạn? Thì em bảo không phải. Tức là em tư duy là khi mà mình cứ kiên nhẫn để lắng nghe thì cũng có rất là nhiều những câu hỏi nó tương đồng với chỗ hoài nghi của em. Và khi có thể là cái hoài nghi của câu hỏi thì nó có những cái tính chất tương đồng, nhưng mà khi câu trả lời thì luôn luôn là các bậc thầy trả lời về sự thật. Thì có thể người hỏi thì họ lại nhẫn lại cái ý nghĩa theo cái chỗ tích lũy của họ, và họ hiểu theo một khía cạnh nào đó. Và ở nơi em thì cũng có thể là cái hiểu và cái chỗ tư duy về pháp theo cái mức độ tích lũy của em. Như vậy thì cái sự thật thì nó luôn luôn là soi sáng, nhưng mà cái hấp thu thì tùy theo cái khả năng tích lũy của mỗi người, nó không giống nhau. Thì tự nhiên đêm hôm qua đến giờ con lại tư duy về em đang hướng đến cái xu hướng tích lũy, thì con lại suy nghĩ là không biết là nó là những đặc tính của tâm, mà nếu là đặc tính của tâm thì là đặc tính của tâm nào, hay vẫn là một cái ý niệm về một con người tích lũy. Thì con đang tư duy về cái phần mà trao đổi của buổi tối hôm qua như vậy. Thì con cũng mong là các bậc thầy sẽ giúp con soi sáng thêm về điều này.
Tức là mấu chốt của câu hỏi là về là xu hướng tích lũy là ai đó hay tức là về cái gì về xu hướng tích lũy ạ?
Tức là em nói là khi mà câu hỏi thì nó đều là một hoài nghi, tức là khi không hiểu rõ, nhưng mà khi câu trả lời thì luôn luôn là khai sáng về sự thật, về cái là thật. Nhưng mà cái sự hấp thu cái ý nghĩa của sự thật ấy nó lại tùy theo cái mức độ tích lũy khác nhau. Vì thế có thể là cái người mà được nghe trực tiếp cái câu hỏi đó, họ hiểu theo cái cách tích lũy của họ. Còn bản thân như em thì em cũng lại hiểu theo cái mức độ tích lũy của em. Nhưng mà tất cả đều là sự suy xét về sự thật, khai sáng về sự thật. Nhưng mà mỗi người hấp thu theo cái mức tích lũy của mình. Đó là cái chỗ trao đổi giữa anh
tức
và em ạ.
là trọng tâm là toàn bộ cái đoạn đó đúng không ạ? Chứ không phải chỉ riêng cái gọi là tích lũy thôi đúng không ạ?
Vâng ạ, vâng ạ.
Vâng, con xin phép rút gọn câu của cô để vào cái trọng tâm chính đó ạ. She said that I have fellow sister who come to the discussion and she noticed that she listens a lot, but there's no question at all. So she asked her sister, why don't you have any question raised? Does that mean you have no doubt at all? And the sister said that, yes, I have questions, I have doubts, but usually when I listen, I can see that other people raised my own questions and my own doubts. And then they talk about that even when the answer from the teachers are about realities, but because of the accumulation of each person, each understands the answer from the teachers in their own way, according to their own accumulations. So this is what I think, because there was not really a clear idea. So I think that what the sister was trying to say, that it's how can we know that, you know, what we hear or we understand from what you say it's correct, because each accumulation is different. So you say the same thing, but I hear the same thing, but I think that it means A, and another person thinks that it means B. I think that's the point.
So,
yes, I think it's
so in the first place, we all have different accumulations, as you said. So some people naturally by habit are quiet and prefer to listen. Other people by habit, even without the topic of the Buddha's teachings, tend to speak out or discuss. So even before listening to the teachings, some people were more active and some were more passive, all by accumulations. And it was the same in the Buddha's time. Some people just listened, but listened carefully and were able to appreciate the meaning enough to truly understand what was said. Some people came and argued, and some of those got the point and some didn't. So the conditions are very complicated. We shouldn't think that just because some people keep quiet and don't bring up their questions or doubts, that it's wrong, because they have their own way. And it's true that some people find if they listen enough, sooner or later someone will bring up the same question. And I think whether we bring up our questions or keep quiet, it's a very long path. And just as you say, even when we hear the truth, we will interpret it according to our own understanding. For example, when we read the suttas, before really considering carefully about dhammas as anatta, we all read at the suttas about people and beings and what should be done and how good should be. developed, and where I should go, and breath, and quiet places, and forests. So it's all misunderstood. So it depends on the understanding that's been accumulated, no matter whether we're here or there, speak out or keep quiet. However, I do agree that for most of us, asking questions and bringing up doubts and disagreements and being questioned is very helpful in order to really consider what the deep-rooted idea is. For example, yesterday when the sister brought up the topic of meditation with your help, and we discussed in detail what bhavana is, and discussed in detail whether there is anyone to practice, anyone to focus, and so on. And she answered many, many questions in order to come to her understanding. It takes courage to open oneself up and listen carefully like this. And I think it's very helpful, but I won't set a rule that everyone should do this, because for some people they're too shy, or it's just a condition for too much dosa, so it's not possible. But I think, like you say, questioning, considering, discussing is very, very useful. And the Buddha encouraged this. He encouraged us to listen and discuss. This is why we're here.
Yes, the Buddha encouraged asking questions and discussing, and he described it as the way for straightening one's view. And I think we can see how that happens. It's easy when one is just listening and thinking to oneself about the meaning of what has been heard. It's easy to think that one has understood correctly what the speaker is saying, or if it's reading the suttas, what the meaning of the suttas is. But when one is in this position of trying to ask a question about that, or to discuss it with someone else, then suddenly what seemed to be clearly understood turns out to make not so much sense at all. And I think we've all had that experience. So that's the way that the view, the misunderstanding or misperception tends to get aired, exposed, and corrected. So that's why the Buddha, I think, encouraged people to discuss and to ask questions.
It doesn't matter at all who's thinking like this or the other things differently, right? Because at the moment of hearing the word of truth about what is there now, it depends on accumulation, whether one is interested to understand the truth, whether that word is true or not, and it's about what. Because it's heard just about that which is now appearing, hearing, seeing. And it just talk about the truth of hearing and seeing and whatever is there. So it doesn't matter who would think this or doesn't think like that at all. But the truth is that is there any interest to understand the meaning and the truth of the word, which just about understanding what is there now. For example, there is seeing. Everyone sees. It doesn't matter who is interested in understanding, seeing, or hearing or not. But for oneself, no understanding of seeing. And when someone says, seeing is no one, what is true? Or no interest at all? But it's just about whatever is now, seeing, no one. So it depends on accumulation, how much interest and understanding has been developed or accumulated on and on. That's why people are different. In truth, no one, only the accumulation of that which is there, moment to moment, condition, different thought, different feeling, different kinds of memory, and so on. So we are talking about what is there in life, to be known a little more, to have confidence of the truth. Seeing is not anyone, because it's conditioned just to arise to see and then gone very, very quickly. Is it true? Because now seeing is not hearing, and they cannot be together in a moment. Seeing cannot hear and hearing cannot see, different moments. Is it true? Just consider a little more about what is heard, whether it's true or not. When it's not true, no need to pay attention. Useless. But just think carefully. Usually there is the idea I see from birth and from life to life. But when someone says, seeing cannot be anyone at all, it just conditioned to arise and then gone, never to return at all. Is that true? Can it be someone or I who see right now? That's why it doesn't matter at all who is thinking like this or not, but it depends on the accumulation at moment of hearing, whether it's not enough, because just condition for seeing is not known yet, condition of every moment is not yet known yet, but they are different by conditions, and that's why there can be more to learn about the truth, little by little. For those who are interested in just the word, seeing is not anyone at all. Are you still interested in the other's thought or idea, where someone has no interest at all, and someone can understand quickly, and someone has to develop understanding very gradually? All depends on conditions. That's why there's the Buddha, Sariputta, Ananda, Kassapa, different ones by accumulation. What about the others? Is there anyone, or only thinking about what is taken for someone or I all the time? What is true?
Dạ, lúc trước thì do cái chỗ hiểu quá ít ỏi, thì khi nghe đi nghe lại về cái thấy thì không có sự suy xét, nên con không thấy giá trị. Nhưng càng nghe thì một chút cái tư duy về sự thật, những cái duyên để sinh khởi, rồi cái tính chất là thực chưa được hiểu. Nên bây giờ dù là được nghe lại bao nhiêu lần, con cũng thấy vô cùng hoan hỉ, bởi vì thực sự là nó chưa hiểu rõ về cái thấy, nên con hoan hỉ muốn nghe thêm nữa về nó ạ.
Before, when my understanding was still very, very, very limited, I didn't see the point of hearing again and again about seeing. But now there's a little more understanding, and I can see the value of hearing about it, and I don't feel bored hearing about it anymore. So I would like to hear again, and please, Achan, explain to us about seeing.
Just on the first point, the world comes back to the citta now, the citta that is the chief in experiencing. So we think that when we are concerned about the others, as I know you are, and wishing to help them, we think that the world is about the other, but actually it's about the citta now. So now, moments of seeing, moments of hearing, so many moments of thinking about the drink, thinking about our friend who has a cough, thinking about the friend who isn't asking her questions. But what about the understanding of the citta at this very moment? Because this is the world. So this is why we talk a lot about seeing, because it's the world right now. If there is no seeing now, no hearing now, there wouldn't be thinking about what is seen or what is heard, or about the flowers or the other one. There would just be dreaming all day, but even the dreams, like at night time, are about what has been seen and heard. So seeing now is a condition for thinking about all kinds of things in a day, most of them useless. So we come back to understanding that at the moment of seeing now, it's just the experiencing, the seeing of what is visible. No other worlds at all, no one there, no thinking there, no other person there, just the moment of experiencing, seeing right now. It just has the function of seeing. It doesn't care what is seen, it doesn't like what is seen, it doesn't have any idea of patterns or colors or flowers. It just sees clearly what is visible at this very moment. It arises with other cetasikas which condition it and support it, as we heard this morning. It depends on what phassa contacts what is seen at this moment. But the phassa and the other cetasikas arise together with it, experiencing the same object. If there's no understanding of the characteristic of seeing and the characteristic of what is visible, the one that experiences the object, the other that doesn't experience anything, for sure there will be the idea, I see, my friend sees, I think, my friend thinks, and there will be the idea of something that is seen. So it is essential to understand about the distinction between seeing now and what is seen, hearing now, what is heard, in order to understand the distinction between the nama dhammas, those realities that experience an object, and the rupa dhammas, those realities that don't experience anything. Without understanding about the difference between nama and rupa, there will be no letting go at all of the idea of someone, some person, some being, something, an arm, a leg, a body, a chair, a sofa. So the world now will always be imagined to be something different. We will continue to live in the dream fantasy world. We know when we wake up it was a dream world, not true. But actually, most of the time now, during the day, even during the Dharma discussion, there is the fantasy world living in a dream about what is seen and who is seeing and who is experiencing, not understanding the truth that there are just different dharmas arising and falling away. So the point of the discussion is to come closer and closer to understanding the realities as they are. The truth is that the world is just this moment of seeing now, hearing now, thinking now, one at a time, so that the understanding can begin to develop, first of all, by understanding a little more from careful considering until it can directly understand the truth about these realities. It's not what we have heard about or thought about in our meditation centers, where we've been encouraged to think that now there can be the understanding of the arising and falling away of realities and the attainment of different vipassana jnanas and different samatha attainments. It's beginning now to understand how much ignorance there is at this moment. So the more understanding there is, the more ignorance is revealed, and the more it shows that actually nothing is understood, or so very, very little. And this is why Ajahn often reminds us there has to be beginning again, beginning again, beginning again. Even if there were some great attainments yesterday, it's all gone. It's of no value, no consequence whatsoever, nothing to be impressed by at all. Otherwise, it's just clinging again, clinging to what's gone. But the Buddha taught us, don't cling to what has gone. Don't dream about the future, but understand the present reality, the present. And seeing now is present, thinking now is present, hearing now is present. So understand more about seeing, to let go of the idea of I that can focus, I that can control, that can do so many things. And yesterday we had a discussion about whether dharmas are deep and subtle. When we hear, seeing sees visible object, it seems so simple, not deep, not subtle. That's because the deep understanding of dharmas as anatta hasn't been fully understood. When there is more understanding that dharmas are anatta, then the truth is shown to be very deep, very subtle, impossible to understand without hearing and considering the Buddha.
Dạ thưa Ajahn và ông bà John Sarah, xin Ajahn giải thích thêm về tâm tham, tâm dục khác nhau như thế nào, và cách thức nhìn tham và dục làm sao để đi đến được sự xả ly.
Could you please explain the difference between Lobha and Chanda and how to consider about these two realities or these two things in order to lead to detachment?
Is there any lobha now?
Yes.
What is their lobha for? What is their attachment towards now?
Vào cảnh xung quanh.
About all the objects around.
Right. What is seen, what is heard, this and that. So there's clinging there. No calm at those moments. It's attached to what is seen here, what is seen there, what is thought about in this regard, what this one is doing, what that one is doing. So it's very common, and it's even more subtle. Even straight after seeing, almost immediately there is clinging to what is seen before there's any thinking in words about it. So attachment is there all the time. And when there's clinging to this and that and all around, is there interest or curiosity about this and that?
Dạ không. No.
No.
No interest in it. If there is no interest in what is here, what is here, what is seen, what is heard, can there be any clinging to it? Can there be any attachment if no interest in it?
Dạ không. No.
So there's interest as well, and the interest is chanda. So attachment to what is seen here and interest what is in the glass at the same time. So they arise together. And is this interest, is it wholesome or unwholesome, kusala or akusala interest when it arises with the attachment?
Dạ, bất thiện.
Akusala.
It's akusala. It arises with chanda, and there is disturbance at that moment, restlessness, udacha, no calm at that moment at all. Just interest in one, what is seen here, what is heard there, what is thought now, what is thought now, following the lobha with interest. So they arise together and follow each other around, the attachment with the interest in the object. What about when there is dosa, when one, for example, maybe one feels a bit uncomfortable on one's seat and there's a little bit of dosa, maybe very, very small. Is there any interest at that time in the object when there is dosa?
Dạ có. Yes.
Yes, there is interest in this softness now, or in the pain that I'm feeling, or whatever the object of the dosa is, there is interest with it as well. So is this interest kusala or akusala? Wholesome or unwholesome?
Dạ, bất thiện.
Akusala.
Akusala, because it arises with the dosa, taking interest in the object. What about when one's very angry and just keeps thinking about the same topic again and again and again? Is there interest at that time in the object?
Dạ có. Yes.
Yes, very strong interest keeps being interested in that same object. So it conditions the dosa and the dosa conditions it. All the akusala cetasikas arise together with ignorance, conditioning each other. However, can lobha be kusala or can dosa be kusala? Wholesome, can they
Tham
be
với sân thì
wholesome?
có thể là thiện được không ạ? Tham và sân thì có thể là thiện được không ạ?
Dạ không, no.
No, never. They can never be wholesome, so there cannot be any wholesome attachment. There cannot be any wholesome aversion. Can there be wholesome interest? For example, at a moment of kindness or generosity, is there any interest in the object? For example, there is the offering of a cough sweet. At that moment, is there interest in the object of generosity?
Dạ có, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So at the moment of generosity, is the interest wholesome or unwholesome? Kusala or akusala?
Là thiện.
Kusala.
Kusala. So lobha doesn't arise with kusala citas, but chanda does. This is chanda arising with the generosity. If there is no chanda at that moment, no interest in giving, no interest in being kind, at a moment of kindness or compassion, is there any interest in the object then? In the being, for example, someone has a cough and there's concern for their welfare, kindness for their welfare. Is there any interest at that moment, those moments?
Yes.
And it's kusala chanda again. What about at moments of understanding, like now, at moments of wise considering about the truth, about Dhamma now? Is there interest in the object, in the reality being considered? Yes, if there was no interest, there wouldn't be this discussion, there wouldn't be the listening, there wouldn't be the considering, there wouldn't be the coming here to hear more, to ask questions. So there must be quite strong interest in order to develop understanding and to go through various discomforts to come here, to put aside other activities to come here, and to sit for long times listening. So this is chanda, interest. So sometimes when we share the Dhamma to our friends, sometimes they hear the words, but just no interest, no interest to consider what seeing is, no interest to hear it for a second and a third and 100th time, no interest to consider the meaning of what has been said. So chanda is very important for the development of understanding, kusala chanda. So akusala and kusala, different reality, different characteristic to lobha.
Cô cũng biết là cái từ quan tâm ở đây nó chính là từ dục, mà cũng là dục, cô hiểu điều ấy rồi đúng không ạ?
And of course, it's anatta and it arises for a moment. Sometimes even though we're here, we may feel sleepy or we may be distracted. And at those moments, no interest at all, no interest, no understanding. So it's just for a moment. I say when there's wise considering, but that's just for a moment too. Or when we come here, of course, kusala and akusala chittas motivating, but when there is the interest, one can see that it conditions the understanding and the careful considering and attention. Thank you.
Có câu hỏi thêm không ạ?
Khi mà mình nhận được mình thấy được cái tâm tham và cái dục, và làm sao hay là cách nào đó để mình xả ly được những cái điều mà mình thấy?
Khi mà mình có tâm tham hay có dục ạ?
Khi mình nhìn ra được tâm tham và cái tâm dục thì tiến lên một bước nữa, làm sao mình xả ly được những cái điều đó?
Okay. She used a term that when we notice the lobha chitta or the chanda chitta, how to let go of them.
So we come back to what is meant by understanding, what is meant by awareness, what is meant by letting go, and can I do anything at all at this moment? For example, lobha most of the day, lobha as soon as seeing has arisen. Can anyone stop lobha from arising? For example, now, many visible objects, many sounds. Can you, however much you try, stop lobha from arising right now? Cannot.
Không thể, đôi khi là tự nó sinh rồi tự nó diệt mà mình cũng không, mình chỉ thấy điều đó thôi, chứ không phải là mình cố gắng là diệt đi hay là cố gắng.
No, it cannot. It just arises on its own and it falls away on its own without we trying to do anything.
Right. What about if we close our eyes or go outside away from the people and focus on breath? Is it possible to stop clinging?
Không, vì có thể là mình đừng tham cái điều này nhưng lại nó phát sinh ra tham cái điều khác.
No, because sometimes we try to stop the lobha, the attachment to one object, but then lobha arises towards another object.
Impossible, because actually it's just like now, even when our eyes are closed, actually there's still seeing, there's still clinging to what is there, there's still clinging and curiosity about what is around, there's still clinging to thinking, still clinging to sound or wishing to hear certain sounds. So clinging all day. So impossible to stop it by wishing or trying. In fact, when there's wishing and trying, it's just accumulating more and more lobha and more strong lobha with the wrong idea of I that can change it or do something. And this is the kind of lobha that's very dangerous because it just leads to more and more ideas about self and I can control. So The Buddha taught there is only one path, one way, and that is the fourth noble truth. We've been talking about the first and the second. The fourth noble truth is the development of understanding. It's the understanding that gradually lets go, not the wishing and the trying and the lobha that lets go. Trying not to cling is lobha. Understanding is letting go, but it's not I that understands.
What would be the purpose of wanting to let go of attachment? Why would you want to let go of attachment?
Vì tham ái dẫn đến khổ đau.
Because attachment conditions suffering.
What kind of suffering does attachment condition?
Như là sự dính mắc, hối tiếc. Khi mà có thể là mình muốn mà mình không được, hoặc là nhiều thứ giống như trong 8 cái khổ.
The kinds of sufferings that happens when we don't get what we want, or when the kinds of suffering mentioned in the first noble truth.
Yeah, that's quite correct. And also attachment conditions the suffering that is continuation in the round of samsara. So if we are talking about that kind of suffering, what is the path to ending that suffering?
Chỉ có khi là mình xả ly đó,
Detachment.
và mình hiểu được cái khổ đó.
And understanding of that suffering. Of that suffering.
The path to the ending of suffering, that is life in samsara, is the development of understanding of conditioned dhammas. Is this the same as what we think of when we think about letting go of attachment?
Có.
Yes.
So when you ask, how can I let go of attachment? What you're asking is, how is the understanding of conditioned realities developed? Is that right? Or are you just interested in letting go of attachment?
Khi nghe câu hỏi này thì con cảm thấy là cái quan trọng là thấy được cái thực tại hơn là việc xả ly.
So hearing your question, I realized that understanding reality is more important than trying to let go.
So what is the benefit of letting go of attachment other than by the development of understanding of conditioned realities? We've been talking about this sometimes during these discussions. It's the Buddha, of course, praised the development of kusala and the abandonment of agusala. But that is not the path to enlightenment. That is the development of calm that leads to, if developed to the fullest extent, leads to jhana. And if we're interested in just having less agusala and more gusala, that is the development of the understanding of the difference between gusala and agusala, and what can condition more gusala. But the essence of the Buddha's teaching, what he discovered, and what we are most interested in, is the development of understanding of conditioned realities that are appearing now. And that's why we discuss more about things like seeing and visible object, and not just the agusala that arises in a day and which we would all like to have less of, but perhaps for the wrong reason. We just know that the agusala is ugly, and we think we would be better off without it. But thanks to the Buddha's teaching, we also appreciate that there can be understanding of agusala when it arises. Understanding can arise in the midst of weak or even strong agusala if the understanding has been developed. And understanding of conditioned realities is the most powerful kind of kusala there is. It has the power to totally eradicate, eventually, all forms of agusala. But we keep in mind that the path is essentially a path of understanding, not a path of having less attachment.
Thank you. Để Achan nói một chút trước.
Yes, Dhamma is so very subtle. It's there now. We just heard the word about Dhammas, but not yet understanding the nature of any Dhamma. Is that the way, the path leading to realize the truth? Just the word is not enough. but more understanding of the subtlety of each reality. And it takes quite a long time to gradually, carefully consider the truth of the word we heard. For example, this morning, we talk about 3 kinds of manasikara. Is it clear for everyone? Or just heard about it? Can there be a little more considering the truth of it? And that is the moment of letting go the idea of self, because a little more understanding of the subtlety of reality is there, can be learned. Otherwise, we just remember there's no attachment all the time after seeing, hearing, and so on. But what about the subtlety of the truth of each reality? Even it's not lopa, but even the manasikara, it seems like everyone understands it, the 3 manasikaras. But please repeat again. What is it? One by one. In order not to forget it, have more and more established of understanding of Dhamma, no matter what Dhamma, all are Dhammas.
Let's just talk about, let's just talk about them in simple English. Don't need to Pali terms, otherwise everyone gets more and more confused. And it keeps it simple for the translators when it's in simple English. So the first one, it doesn't matter which order we talk about them, but this morning when Ajahn was talking about the 7 cetasikas that arise with every citta, the last one we discussed was manasikara. So it's a cetasika, and as we discussed, it arises with every citta and it attends to the object that is experienced for the citta to experience that object. Without manasikara, citta couldn't experience its object. Phassa contacts the object for the citta to experience the object. Manasikara attends to what is experienced. It arises with the citta and it falls away instantly. Now we know conventionally there's attending to what is being heard, attending to the dog on Mai's knee. This is conventional attending. Manasikara arises at that moment of seeing, attends to what is visible, gone. It arises with the next citta, attends to the visible object, gone. At moments of thinking, it attends at each moment and is gone, anatta. The second kind of manasikara we discussed is a kind of citta. It refers to the first citta in the sense door process. Before seeing can experience its object, there has to be the citta that adverts to the object. It makes way for the seeing to arise. It's the base, the foot for the seeing that follows to experience the object. Before that citta arises, there are bhavanga cittas, life continuum cittas, arising and falling away, the same kind of cittas as in deep sleep, the same kind of citta as the birth consciousness, but with a different function, because now there are the function is continuing life. So in between the different sense door, mind door processes, the Bhavanga Chittas arise and fall away all the time. They are interrupted when there is a sense door process now or a mind door process now. When it's a sense door process, the first chitta is this one that adverts to the object, the visible object that's impinged on eye sense, the sound that's impinged on ear sense, whichever object it is. And this is also a meaning of manasikara. It is the means, the way that the following chittas can experience the object. The foot for the following chittas to follow and experience the object. And the third kind of manasikara is also a chitta. It is the chitta that arises before the Javana chittas. The Javana chittas are the kusala or akusala chittas that arise in a sense door or a mind door process. And the chitta that arises before them makes way, makes it possible for those following kusala or akusala chittas to arise. The chitta before lobha, before panya, before any kusala or akusala is the adverting consciousness, the mind door adverting consciousness. It has one Pali word when it is the first chitta in the mind door process, and it has another term when it is in the sense door process. Before the mind door chittas, it is the mano dwara vajana chitta, the mind door adverting consciousness. Exactly the same chitta, the same kind of chitta arises in the sense door process before kusala and akusala chittas arise, after seeing, after 3 more chittas, after 2 more vipaka chittas, then the same kind of chitta arises in the sense door process. It is then referred to as the Votapanna chitta. Votapanna chitta doesn't determine anything. It doesn't decide anything. It's a Kiriya chitta, an operative chitta, and it makes it possible, it makes way for the kusala or akusala chittas that follow. So this kind of chitta in the mind door or sense door processes is also another kind of manasikara. So 3 kinds of manasikara. The Chaitasika, in Pali it's referred to as the Aramana Patipadika Manasikara, because it makes it possible for the chitta and other Chaitasikas to experience the object by attending to the object. And the second and third ones are chittas, the Viti Patipadika Manasikara and the Javana Patipadika Manasikara. But the terms are not important. It's just the understanding that there are 3 kinds of Manasikara. So we come across these terms in texts like the Abhidhamma and the commentaries like the Atta Salani. So it's good when we read to consider different meanings. But it's all now. It's all about daily life. There is attending at each moment to what is experienced. No one can do anything. No one can attend to lobha to let it go. No one can attend to panya to make it arise. It's just the Chaitasika that arises by its conditions. And the same with the two kinds of cittas. They arise by different conditions, experience the object, perform their function, and gone. So no time for anyone to let go of lobha or anything else. This is why the understanding just develops to not learn all the details, but just to understand dhammas are anatta, deep and very subtle.
No matter when citta is there must be conditions for its arising, and the conditions arise together. For example, cetasika, phassa, vedana, sanya, cetana. See, what else? What else? What else? Understand all of these different cetasikas, that they are different. So at moment of birth, how many cetasikas are there? More than 7. Because only 10 cittas, the seeing, kusala vipaka or akusala vipaka 2, and hearing 2, smelling 2, tasting 2, touching 2, all 10. It needs only just 7 cetasikas for its arising, condition it to arise. So the other moment, no matter what moment, there must be more cetasikas. At moment of birth, what kind of manasikara is there? As you just said.
To answer Ajahn's questions.
We have talked about 3 kinds of manasikara, not just the name. So the question is, at moment of birth, there must be manasikara cetasika, because it's one of the 7 cetasikas which arises with each citta. So now we just talk about manasikara because we heard more about it, the 3 kinds of manasikara. So at moment of birth, what kind of manasikara is there? It's not just there are 3 kinds, but there can be a little more understanding when it arises. What kind of manasikara? So at moment of birth,
Aramana Pataka
manasikara. Manasikara has to attend to the object, no matter its object which is seen or thought about or heard. It's there. Attend to the object only. It cannot understand. It cannot like. Its function is just attend to the object which is experienced. So at that moment, it is aramana patipadaka manasikara, just ordinary moment, experiencing whatever. And when will it be? Vitti patipadaka manasikara, different moment.
When Vitti Pataka is when it's not Padisanti, Pawang and Chuti. Besides 3 of that.
There are many bhavanga cittas, so no viti patipadaka manasikara. And then what is the first process of chittas in life after those Bhavanga chittas?
This process. Avachana. Panchatvara Avachana. Avachana.
What kind of process of what doorway do chittas arise? What is the first process through which doorway after the first Bhavanga chittas during life? Is it a eye door process, an ear door process, a body door process, a mind door process? What is the first process of chittas through which doorway in life?
Mind door process.
Okay, so the first process in life is mind door process. Is there any viti, padi, padika, manasikara when the mind door process arises?
Yes.
What is the reality of the viti, padi, padika, manasikara?
It's turned to
What is the reality?
Chavana, I think. Aramana first, and then.
Because you said that the second kind of manasikara, the viti, padi, padika, manasikara, arises when there is the first process of chittas in life. The first process of chittas in life is through the mind door. What kind of chitta is the viti, padi, padika, manasikara? That
It's mind door process. No.
No.
It's yeah, it's quite deep, this one.
So that's why we repeated it again. So the viti, padi, padika, manasikara is the first chitta in the sense door process, the panchadwara vajana chitta, which our friend asked about this morning. That was how we got onto this topic. So it's the first chitta in the sense door process. But after the Bhavanga chittas, there is no sense door process because, as you said, it's a mind door process. So no viti, pati, padika, manasikara yet.
Juti, Desanti.
So when does it first arise?
So, Juti Padesanti mean Pawang.
Wild guessing. Going further and further away from the truth. What about now? When does this kind of manasikara, the viti, pati, padika, manasikara, when does it arise now?
When it arises now? When it's a process of manasikara, process of chitta.
What is a process of manasikara? What does that mean?
No, process of chittas.
What kind of process of chittas?
So I think it's aramana pataka.
We're talking about the second kind of manasikara, viti, pati, padika, manasikara. What reality is it?
Mindful process? No.
We're going round and round in circles. Dhamma can mention.
Can I just elaborate this point actually? It's not my
So the second kind of manasikara refers to the first citta in any sense door process, the Panchadwara Vajana citta, the first citta in any sense door process that adverts to the object. Manasikara, the Vitti-Patipadika Manasikara refers to this citta. So it only arises when the sense door process begins, the first moment of a sense door process. We discussed how at the first moment of life, there's no sense door process, there's no mind door process, because the Pati Sandhi citta is like a Bhavanga citta. It doesn't arise through any process. So there is the Chaitasika of Manasikara at that moment, but no Vitti-Patipadika Manasikara. The first process during life after Bhavanga cittas is a mind door process, not a sense door process. So no Panchadwara Vajana citta, no adverting to a sense object yet. So not the second kind of manasikara yet. Only later, when there is a sense door process, then the first moment of that sense door process, there is this second kind of manasikara in addition to the first Chaitasika Manasikara that arises with every citta.
So it's referred to Manodwara Vajana citta also?
No, exactly. Do you know what the Panchadwara Vajana citta is? The first citta in a sense door process.
It's a Kiriya citta.
It's a Kiriya citta that adverts to the sense object. No mind door, no Manodwara Vajana. It's the adverting consciousness in the sense door process. So this is the second kind of manasikara. It only arises at the first moment of a sense door process. And the third kind, the Javana Patipadika Manasikara, it arises before kusala and akusala cittas in any process. So after birth, when there is that first mind door process, the first citta in that mind door process is the Manodwara Vajana citta, which adverts to the objects before the kusala and akusala cittas follow. So it is the third kind of manasikara, the citta, at that moment.
We finish this topic.
Excuse me, so you say about Chavana Pataka, it's not referred to the 55 citta in Chavana. It's not mean that.
No, it just refers to the Manodwara Vajana citta, or Votapana citta, as it's called in sense door process. The citta that arises, that makes way for the kusala or akusala cittas that follow it, that follow.
So, but why it's called Chavana Vitti-Pataka?
Because it arises, it's like the foot or the making way for the kusala or akusala cittas that follow it. So it's like the step before kusala or akusala cittas that follow.
So it's mean Votapana citta, you mean that?
It's the same kind of citta. The Manodwara Vajana citta is the citta that is called Votapana citta in sense door process. Different function, same kind of citta.
Okay.
Many points to consider
many
deeply,
points.
yes.
So can the sister ask her question? Yeah.
Mô Phật, kính thưa Achan, kính thưa Sarah, Ngài John, con muốn hỏi thêm về ngũ ý môn hướng tâm. Dạ, con muốn các ngài giải thích rõ hơn về ngũ môn hướng tâm là như thế nào. Thì hôm nay con có nghe về ngũ môn hướng tâm thì con cũng đã hiểu phần nào. Còn ý môn hướng tâm thì con chưa có hiểu rõ lắm. Có phải là ý môn hướng tâm có phải là suy nghĩ hay không? Và con xin các vị giải thích cho con được rõ hơn. Một phần.
The topic we just discussed is also what I was interested in, and through your explanations, now I can understand what is the five-door adverting consciousness, but I'm still not clear about the mind-door adverting consciousness. So please explain about this. Is it cái tâm đó, câu hỏi có phải là tâm is it thinking or it's not thinking?
Don't forget, Dhamma is so very subtle. That's why we learn to understand from birth, moment to moment, what are there. There must be citta for sure, the reality which arises as a chief of experience the object. From birth to death, never absent. Even right now, citta is there. But not just only citta is there, there is also other realities different from citta, arise together with citta, experience the same that citta experiences, but they are different from citta. For example, phassa, see, it's not vedana, it's not sanya, and not manasikara. That's why just learn little by little about what is there, at least that it has to be there in order to understand different nature, different function, different characteristic of cetasika. For example, manasikara, it's the reality which attend to the object, no matter what time, but it arises with different citta. That's why it different from moment when it's not that particular citta. That's why let us understand different moments of citta. For example, there is no seeing at moment of birth, right? And there must be the citta after birth for sure. That's what is its function. The citta which follow the patisanti citta, it's not patisanti citta, but as soon as patisanti citta has fallen away, the reality which experiences is there conditioned to arise non-stop. So does it see the moment follow the patisanti citta, that citta, does it see?
Tâm mà tiếp nối với tâm tái tục thì tâm đó nó có thấy không? Chức năng của nó là gì ạ? Vâng, vậy chức năng của nó là gì ạ? So it doesn't see and its function is life continuum.
Is there manasikara, cetasika arises with it?
She doesn't know.
There must be 7 cetasikas arising with citta, all kinds of citta. What does it mean? It means that at least there must be 7 cetasikas, different ones, arising together with each moment of citta. Vedana, Sanya, Cetakata, and so on. And the last one is Manasikara. It attends to the characteristic of Citta, while Citta is the chief of experiences, the characteristic of that object, and feeling feels towards that object, and Sanya marks and remember, and so on. That's why each moment there must be 7 Cetasikas, at least, arising with Citta, no matter what kind of Citta. So at birth, the birth consciousness does not see, right? It does not hear, it does not think, even it experience the object. But the object of Patisantichitta does not appear, because it's not the object of this world. It's the object of previous world. After death, before death, what is there as object? The birth consciousness experience that object. Because usually at this moment of seeing, as soon as the process of seeing has fallen away and Bhavanga is there, we don't talk about the details, we just talk about some which is known now, that there is seeing. At moment of seeing, it's not moment of birth or Bhavanga, life continuum. But 7 Cetasikas must arise with each moment, at least. So it means that besides the 10 Cetasikas which sees and hears, the other moment has to be more than 7 Cetasikas. So the question is whether Manasikara Cetasika arises with birth consciousness or not. Well, it's just the word to consider.
Dạ có.
Okay. At death, is there Manasikara Cetasika? This moment.
Yeah.
See, never change. At moment of seeing, is there Manasikara? Seeing right now.
Dạ có.
At moment of thinking, is there Manasikara?
Suy nghĩ có tâm sở hướng tâm không ạ?
Dạ có.
That's why we talk about different moments to understand the function of Manasikara, that it arises no matter at moment of seeing or thinking or hearing. But each moment is different, because moment before seeing is not moment of seeing. There must be moment before hearing, right? It's not a moment of hearing, it arises before hearing. So at moment of Citta, which arises before seeing, is there Manasikara arising with it? The moment before seeing, just before seeing. As soon as it falls away, there is seeing. So the moment before seeing, is there Manasikara? Yes, never change, the truth is the truth. So the moment of Citta, which is not the moment, which is Bhavanga, the object does not appear, but at moment of before seeing, there must be a Citta arising before seeing moment. Because the object impinges on the eye base. At that very moment, no seeing yet. But the Citta before seeing arises. Experience the object through one doorway, and when it's seeing, it is idle. The idle. And at moment of hearing, the Citta before hearing arises and experience the object which is there impinged on the ear base. Is there Manasikara? So it's different from moment of that Citta which experiences the object but not hearing or seeing yet. It arises before seeing. So its function at that moment is the same, attend to the object, but not to the object bhavanga, but to the object which impinges on the doorway, no matter it is eye door or ear door or smell door. See, it's there. So the citta arises before seeing is also manasikara with it, but it does not attend to the moment before there is something arises at the doorway, which is known by the first citta, which does not experience the same object as bhavanga, because at that moment, by conditions, it attends just to that object which impinge on the doorway. That's why at moment of attending to the object which is there on one doorway, it is Vitti Patipadaka Manasikara. See, just show that it's not that which arises with other moment, but it's the moment before seeing, before hearing. It attends to the object which impinge on it. So it is Vitti, because when it's not bhavanga, it experiences the different object from bhavanga. So each moment which is not the object of bhavanga, it has to experience the object through any doorway, one of the 6 doorways. Right? But for the 5 doorways, we have the word pancha, 5, the vara, vachana citta. It manasikara the object through one of the doorway, 5 doorway only. For seeing to arise or hearing to arise after that moment of vitti, the first vitti, the first citta, which is not bhavanga, experience the object, which is different from the object of bhavanga. So it is vitti citta, the first one, because that which experiences the object is more than just one moment, but it begins with that which arises before seeing. So it is that which has the manasikara of the object which impinges on the doorway, but it does not see, it does not hear. This is the difference between manasikara, which arises with the citta before seeing, or the citta arises with seeing. Because seeing is not the first vitti citta, so the moment before seeing is the first vitti citta, attending to the object which is not the object of bhavanga and patisanti citta. That's why it has the word Vitti Patipadaka Manasikara. As soon as we heard this word, it means the citta which arises before the 5 doorways. Not to remember, but to understand the meaning of the word. Usually it is aramana patipadaka because it attend to the object. But when it is vitti patipadaka, it's that which arises before seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching. And when it's seeing, it's not vitti patipadaka manasikara, because it is not the moment which attend to the object which impinges on the 5 doorway. That's why I learn to understand the truth of each reality, why it has different words, different names, because what is there when it arises. The first vitti citta. Is there any doubt about the aramana, patipadaka, manasikara, any moment? And vitti patipadaka manasikara, just learn little by little. Only 5 doorways, is Viti Patipataka Manasikara. So we learn another Manasikara later.
And in the mind door process, which is what you were asking about, the mind door adverting consciousness immediately precedes and in the mind door process, the mind door adverting consciousness immediately precedes the jittas of the javana stage of the process. You asked about thinking. What kind of jitta thinks? What is the jitta that thinks?
Dạ, theo con nghĩ là tâm suy nghĩ, là tâm hướng đến đối tượng, là suy xét vào đối tượng.
She said that she understands that the chitta that thinks is the chitta that considers the object.
Yes, what kind of chitta would that be? Is it a vipaka chitta?
Thọ
Is
tưởng,
it,
tư.
Không, tức là khi mà nói đến chủng loại tâm á, thì nó có thể là thiện hoặc là bất thiện hoặc là quả hoặc là duy tác, đúng không ạ? Thì ông đang hỏi là đó là loại tâm nào ạ?
Cái đó là tâm sở à?
4 chủng loại tâm đúng không ạ? Thiện, bất thiện, quả và duy tác. Vậy thì nó là loại tâm nào ạ?
Thiện hoặc là bất thiện.
Kusala or akusala?
That's right. So the thinking now is either kusala or akusala chitta. They are the only chittas that can think. When there is thinking about the object experience through the sense door, that is kusala or akusala chitta that thinks about it. When there is thinking about what happened earlier today or what will be happening tomorrow, that's kusala or akusala chitta that thinks. When there is dreaming at night or daydreaming in the day, that's kusala or akusala chitta. And as I think you know, these are the chittas that arise in the javana stage of the mind door process or sense door process. So, as we said earlier, the manodvara vajjana chitta, the mind door adverting consciousness, is the chitta that makes way for the jittas of the javana stage of the mind door process. That is what we commonly refer to as thinking. Does that answer your question?
Dạ, vậy con đã hiểu rồi.
She got it. Thank you.
didn't turn it on. The Manodwara Vajana Chitta, which makes way for the kusala or akusala chittas that follow in the sense or mind or process. It's, as we've said, it's a Kiriya Chitta. It's not kusala, it's not akusala, it's not vipaka. So it means it is ahetuka, rootless. So no kusala, no akusala chaitasikas arise with it. The 7 chaitasikas we've discussed in detail together arise. Passa contacts the object, manasikara attends to the object, ekagata focuses on the object. And in addition, vitaka is there, touching the object that is experienced, and virya has to be there in this case after the bhavanga chittas for that chitta to arise, the first chitta in that process. So 2 or 3 more chaitasikas, adhimokkha, is there, but no kusala, no akusala chaitasikas, no chanda, no joy, no lobha, no understanding, no dosa at those moments. So we have said before that when there isn't seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching, there is thinking, like thinking through in the mind, or for example, because chitta has that function of thinking. As Jonathan said, conventionally we just think about thinking at moments when kusala and akusala chittas arise. But we could also say whenever vitaka arises, there is not only attending but touching of the object. So in this way, we could say there is thinking with whenever these chittas arise with vitaka after seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching. But in any case, it's just the first chitta in the mind or process that adverts to the object, makes way, as Jonathan said, for the kusala or akusala chittas that follow. And in a sense door process, when it's called the Votapana chitta, same kind of chitta, but different function, but it makes way for the kusala or akusala chittas to arise in that sense door process. And the third kind of manasikara we've been talking about refers to this particular chitta that attends to the object after the bhavanga chittas in the mind door for kusala or akusala chittas to follow. So it's like a third kind of attending. That's why it's called mind door, adverting to that object.
So let's back to the basic a little bit. So we talk about the Viet-English. So it's just another name to call that Panchattvara Vachanachit. It's just another name. Okay. Ajahn also asked that about Padeswanti. How many
kinds of manasikara, and you gave the correct answer, only the manasikara cetasika at that moment of patisandhi, because no sense door process, no mind door process at that moment. So only the cetasika, yes. And at each of those, when each of the bhavanga chittas arises, only the cetasika manasikara. The first process in life is a mind or process. So cannot be the Panchadwara Vajana Chitta, but there has to be the Manodwara Vajana Chitta, the attending to the object through the mind door. So at that first moment must be 2 kinds of manasikara, the cetasika that arises with every chitta in life, and the
Manasikara, which is the Manodwara Vajana Chitta.
Okay. And one more question that I just asked that about Chitta, the Padisanti Chitta. Ajahn asked how many Cetasika that arise with Padisanti Chittas.
Yes. So how would you answer that?
I asking you.
My answer would be, it depends what kind of Patisandhi Chitta it is. If it is the Patisandhi Chitta in the human realm, it has to be the Patisandhi Chitta that is conditioned by Kusala Karma in the past. So when it is the result of Kusala Karma, the wholesome roots are there, 1, 2, or 3, and there have to be more Chaitasikas. There have to be, at least for any Sobana Chitta to rise, Sobana means beautiful, Kusala Chittas or Kusala Vipaka Chittas, there have to be at least 19 Chaitasikas when it is a Sobana Chitta. So many, including, not necessarily including Panya, but including Sati, Aloba, Dosa, Upeka, Hiri, Otapa, on and on. If it is the Patisandhi that is the result of akusala karma, for example, in the animal realm, then no unwholesome roots, fewer Chaitasikas, no akusala Chaitasikas at that moment. 7 universals and a few other Chaitasikas, none of the Sobana Chaitasikas, none of the akusala Chaitasikas. So that's why we have to consider everything carefully.
So it's totally about 35 Cetasika, 35 and just a number actually.
What has 35 got to do with it?
Cetasika with arrive with the Padisanti Chitta. And it's
why
not
35? Why do
that's what you count, you just count it.
I didn't count 35.
I'm sorry, I think it's getting too detailed, so maybe we can keep it for, at another time and
maybe can you just add a little bit more?
You can ask any time when you're sitting around.
Thank you for your sharing.
Vâng, không biết là cô Thanh cũng đang xếp hàng, thầy Đồng Tú cũng đang xếp hàng, thầy có muốn đặt câu hỏi của thầy từ hôm qua, vẫn liên quan đến chủ đề mà con nghĩ cũng rất là quan trọng ạ. Bây giờ là mấy giờ rồi ạ? Vâng, bên con bây giờ là quá giờ rồi ạ? Oh, it's already. It's past the time, we can still go on. Vâng ạ. Được ạ, mình được.
Dạ vâng. Để tiếp nối những các cái chủ đề hôm qua thì con cũng có cái ý tưởng là muốn hỏi thêm các vị thầy là về thiền. Ví dụ như là khi mà một hành giả mà phát triển samatha thì có thể là trụ tâm được vào hơi thở, và hoặc là có thể biết được phồng xẹp một cách rõ ràng, hoặc là những bước chân đi mình biết một cách là rõ ràng, tâm gắn liền với những các cái các chủ đề đấy, thì điều đấy có phải là phát triển samatha không ạ?
Yes, so continuing the topic of meditation that he thinks is important, many people who think that they practice meditation, they try to focus on the breath, for example, on try to be aware of the lifting of food and so on. And some of them say that they can succeed in following the breath in and out for a long time, or being continuously aware of the movement of the feet and so on. And they think that is it developing samatha. Can you please comment on this?
They have probably never considered exactly what samatha means. They have heard about the way of practice and they've followed that, but they didn't start with an understanding of what samatha is, which moment is samatha, what is the reality. If there is the following of a practice, then by definition it begins with akusala citta, because if there is kusala citta already, then no need to practice. So any practice begins with akusala, but there is the idea in time the citta will become kusala. We heard the other day from the sister the instruction of the monk to sit still and see what happens. No mention of kusala or akusala, but there's the assumption that by doing that, kusala citta will arise at some point. But of course that is a mistaken understanding, because neither of those things, that is walking slowly or attending to the breath, focusing on the breath on the one hand, or sitting still and seeing what happens, they are not conditions for the arising of kusala. Kusala arises by conditions. Kusala has been accumulated. Different types of kusala have been accumulated. And it is when those accumulated tendencies arise again that a kusala of one kind or another is present, a kusala citta of one kind or another is present. The difficulty is that when people begin a practice, because it's something that is not normal for them, they begin to have special experiences which they ascribe to the practice, and they assume to be kusala of one kind or another, because they are so special or so different from their normal daily life. So the problem is, as I see it, not having ever considered what samatha means. It is the kusala citta, it is the calmness aspect of the kusala citta. Every kusala citta is accompanied by mental factors, as we know, calmness is there, whether it's apparent or not. It doesn't matter. But the kusala citta, different kinds of kusala citta arise naturally in a day without any idea of having a practice. And it is when those kusala cittas arise that kusala can be better understood. And I suspect that the people who are doing the practice, say, of the paying attention to the breath or the slow walking, are probably not really sure whether what is happening is supposed to be samatha or insight. Because on the whole, people are not clear about the difference between the two.
Những lúc mà hành thiền như vậy thì sẽ có cái cảm giác rất là thoải mái, nhẹ nhàng, và ví dụ như là các cái buồn hoặc là những các cái tham muốn cảm thấy nó không còn nữa, thì căn cứ vào điều đấy có thể xem được là tốt đẹp không ạ?
So when they practice that way, sometimes it happens that they feel more light, and many sorrows and sadness are gone, and the mind is just very calm and pleasant. So can they consider that to be a kusala based on those signs?
Of course they do, because they've been told that if they practice like this, it will help to develop kusala. So when there's a change like that, they would assume that it's kusala too. But as we know, apparent calmness can be subtle loba. The changes they notice all sound like positive changes, so they are tempted to assume they are kusala. But changes are only temporary, and of course they won't last. There won't be calmness forever, because there's been no change to the underlying accumulated tendencies. But if a person changes from one routine to another, then there may seem to be those kind of changes.
If I walk in the forest, for example, in the woods at the place we were staying at before, or like this morning, have a swim in the ocean, it seems very peaceful, no disturbance, no annoyance at all, very relaxing, unless someone comes and interrupts it or interferes or gets in the way where I'm swimming or walking. But this is not calm, this is not kusala citta, this is clinging, attachment with pleasant feeling, with akusala chanda, as we discussed. There can be understanding, there can be awareness at those times, just like now. There's seeing, there's hearing, there's thinking. There can be understanding anytime. But if one takes that pleasant feeling and relaxed state and not being disturbed, not having dosa, not having troubles, if one takes it for being kusala or calm, it's very misguided. If it is calm, what is their understanding of at that moment? For example, if one focuses on the breath and it seems so calm. What is the object that makes it kusala? Why is it kusala? What understanding is there at that moment? Because it's just concentrating with attachment and pleasant feeling. So where is the kusala? Like now, if we close our eyes and focus on the breathing for 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, there's no generosity, there's no kindness at those moments, there's no understanding of any reality, there's no understanding of how or why the contemplation on breath conditions calm at all. It's just focusing on that object, feeling tranquil, feeling pleasant, but no calmness, so no samatha at those moments.
As we know, if the practice begins without right understanding, then it cannot lead to right understanding. However, for the person who has been told that this is the path, then the fact that they think that they are developing certain kusala or insight even, once they start to see some changes, this can condition other changes like the ones you mentioned. In other words, the wrong view leads one to even a state of elation that now I'm on the right path and there is going to be more and more kusala and more insight.
Is calm real?
Dạ, thực ạ.
Yes, it's real.
What is it and where is it?
Dạ, nó là an tĩnh tâm, loại tâm sở mà nó chỉ có những khoảnh khắc ở thiện pháp thôi.
Is it a cetasika which arises only with kusala chittas?
Only that, remember? Oh, what is the characteristic of calm? To be calm, calmness, not just the word. The word could be remembered, but the understanding is different. For example, what is calm? Is it real? Where is it?
Nó có thực, nó có thể là ở cái hiểu ngay bây giờ.
Is it real? It can arise now at the moment of understanding.
So calm is not at meditation center or at moment of walking slowly or moment of concentrating on the breath. Is that right?
Vâng.
That's why just think about concentrating on breath and try to be calm. It's right or wrong? Try to be calm.
Khi mà cố gắng để có an tịnh thì chắc chắn là không đúng ạ.
At moment of thinking.
Trying to be calm is certainly not wrong, not right. Sorry.
So what is at moment of thinking or concentrating on breath?
Cũng vậy ạ, chắc có lẽ là không đúng, chắc chắn là không đúng ạ.
It's also not right.
Okay, not right.
Dạ, vâng, như vậy là đã có câu trả lời rồi đúng không ạ?
Dạ vâng, thì cái câu hỏi sau cùng này thì cũng là cái đàm luận của con với các cái vị khác, cho nên là cũng là cái tổng hợp để con đưa ra, con trao đổi với thêm với các vị thầy ạ.
So the question I just raised was also the topic of my discussion with some other fellow
It doesn't
students.
matter at all what people say, what this person say. It depends on moment of hearing of any reality or any word. Consider whether it's real or it's true or not. If one say that it's calm at moment of concentrating on breath, how can it be calm? No understanding of calmness at all. All dhammas are anatta. If we don't talk about the truth of the reality, even breath, how can there be understanding the anatta of breath? If there's no understanding what is breath and what condition breath, no understanding at all. Just follow the idea of calm is such and such, going somewhere, concentrating on some object, that's all. No understanding of the truth right now at all, as no one at all. But there are different realities. No one, only different realities, which is conditioned to arise and fall away instantly, so very rapidly. How can it be known? Not just try to follow it when it arises and falls away. Impossible. Because no matter what arises and falls away, no one there at all. It's only one reality at a time. That's why when we talk about Cetasikas, Phassa, Vedana, and so on, until Manasikara, so many words about each reality that Buddha taught for 45 years to begin to understand the nature of whatever is there as real. It's not permanent and it's conditioned by its proper condition for it to arise, to be only that. That's why this is the way to let go the idea of self, understanding the nature, the characteristic of what is there as it is, to have confidence of the truth that it's only that reality arising and falling away, never to arise again. Calm, is it real?
Dạ, thực
Where is it and what is it? In order to understand that it's real.
dạ ngay khoảnh khắc này, nếu như có cái hiểu về những gì Ajahn chia sẻ,
It's right here now when there's hearing and understanding of what you have been saying.
How that is the understanding that it's now? How come?
dạ có nhiều khía cạnh có thể là hiểu về 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 cái tính chất của nó chẳng hạn, về về cái bản chất của pháp.
Do tính chất hay là gì? Hay là do tính chất là do mình được học pháp?
Do được hiểu,
Nhờ học.
và để học được hiểu.
Because we, thanks to having learned about it through the teaching about the characteristic of.
What did he say? Or someone say about calm?
Can you say again, because he didn't get
What
it?
did the teacher or anyone say about calm? What is it?
I think that it was not about his teacher that he was talking. Yeah.
You heard from someone about calmness,
About the,
or it's your own understanding, your own idea?
he was from the Buddha. He said.
Dạ, đến từ cái hiểu.
From the
What is the
understanding.
nature of calm? The reality, which is not piti, not adosa, aloba, amoha. What is that which is calm? We just can hear the word about it, but what is the understanding of the nature of it? For example, seeing right now, no matter there is the word seeing or not any word about seeing, seeing sees. That is the nature of it, the reality of it. So what is calm? Even there's no word for it, but is it real? And when is there? What condition it to arise? Because there are conditions for everything to arise. So when it's calm, what condition calm to arise?
Perhaps we need to continue this discussion tomorrow because I know some people need to leave now, so perhaps we'll pause it now.
There are many questions, so anyone would like to stay and talk about, it's all right.
Maybe we could just pause for a few minutes for those who need to leave, and then we can carry on. So just have a few minutes pause for anyone to.
Anyone
Maybe
needs to leave, please leave.
Those who need to leave, please go.
It's time for you to ask your question if you want, in Thai, if you want.
Do you have any question about what is heard? About what is heard? Not at all.
She had, but she's quite afraid to ask. She told me she wants to ask. Go for it.
Not now.